Hi guys, getting our connection up and going. If you are tapping into the recording, say hey. Obviously, tag your sponsor and some coach friends that could use the guidance during this time. Let me fix my lighting. Say hi once you hop on in the champions page. Hi guys. Okay, I see a few of you hopping on. Let me see you in the comments. Hey, Jessica. Hi, guys. Okay, so hello. Nap time over here. How's it going? Hi, Ashley. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Brittany. Hi, Claudine. Okay, so as you guys are hopping on, I wanted to mention I posted earlier this morning a little bit of a prompt for you guys to post something like on your Instagrams and Facebook pages before this power hour or action hour. I gave you guys like a list of prompts, like a journal prompting, just in case you're feeling a little bit like you don't know what to talk often. And so I want to encourage you guys to look at that prompt and get a post up. If you haven't already, I'll give you like a minute to do that right now. And just like Danielle's live, if Facebook cuts me down, I'll come right back up. Just be patient with it. But I hope you guys are ready to do this. I hope you guys are ready to have a productive 45 minutes to an hour with me. I hope you have some water, because 99% of us have not had enough water yet today. So that way you don't have to take any breaks. You can just sip and work. So again, say hi. I want you guys to all tag your sponsor in the comments. I think it's really important that you show your sponsor that you're showing up and you're plugging into the available resources. You'll need your Success Club system tracker, whatever tracker you use, but this is obviously the most efficient, developed by coaches within the network after a lot of trial and error. Okay, so as we're getting sort of situated, as people are hopping on, I want to kind of kickstart this with some comments in this thread. Okay, so I already told you to tag your sponsor. Now I want you to tag a friend, a success partner, a coach friend within your team, a coach on your team, anybody that you want to encourage to plug into their business in some way today. So tag them now. It can be 10, it can be 1, whatever. Just get some tags in there, get some people encouraged and supported in their business. Okay, so as you guys are doing that, the next thing I think it's really important, because I'm sure you're like me and you've been doing a bunch of things. I'm sure there's, even though there's a lot of downtime, there's a lot of uptime too. There's a lot to do. You probably wear a lot of hats. And so I really want you guys to start this action hour with an intention, okay? So, sorry, my phone's ringing, of course, as soon as I start this. I want you guys to set an intention for the day, for your work time. I want you to drop in the comments an intention that you have. I would just put some examples in the comments, but you could say something like, I am productive today. Maybe you were like me, yesterday wasn't the most productive day. And so today when I sit down to do my work, I will be productive. I am productive. Maybe another one is, I'm inviting at least 10 people today, 20 people today, 30 people today, whatever fits your goals. I am sharing the blessing of this business today and inviting to my team. So I want you to share an intention. I'll reach my personal business goal this week. I will be positive and a steady light to others today. I'm contributing to others by showing them what they can be a part of. Whatever your intention is, I want you to put it in the comments now and get sort of your mind wrapped around that intention for this specific hour of work. Thank you guys so much for participating. It helps a ton. Okay, so set your intention, and then we're going to get going. Okay, so one other side note. I just posted this on my Instagram story just before coming in here. I'm reading, and a lot of you might be reading this, but for personal development, I'm reading Fear is My Homeboy. And in the second chapter, she reminds us of a concept that most of us know about, but it's so powerful, and I feel like it's really powerful, especially now. So in my post, I basically explain it, and it's this concept of these power statements, like starting your day with 10 power statements. And some of them, it could be either like the kind of person that you are or the kind of person that you want to be. Some of them might be true, some of them might not be true. And so it's really cool, especially given the current climate with this pandemic in our communities. I think it's so cool to show up every day with 10 power statements. And so you don't have to do this right now, but I just really want to encourage you towards that practice, especially in these next few weeks, just to kind of wake up with that intention, that mindset, really focused on the kind of person that you want to show up as, because you're going to be so much more likely to actually work to show up that way. So I really wanted to encourage you guys just with that concept. And then it kind of brings us to what I know Danielle and Jamie, who have led Power Action Hours this week, they have all said, like, your personal development is so critical, especially in such a climate that's so like a little bit touchy, maybe a little bit more heightened in terms of like emotions, a little more stress going on. And so I really want to make sure that you guys are tapped into some kind of personal growth, some type of personal development method, whether it's audiobook or reading for 10 minutes a day. I do the same as Danielle's. When I'm making my Energize in the morning, I'll read a couple minutes, or if I have a 3-year-old, I should introduce myself too. I will in a second. I have a 3-year-old, so if he's still sleeping by the time my workout's done, then I'll read, for a couple minutes before he wakes up. But personal development can't be skipped. It's not a part of our action hour. Shakeology is not a part of your action hour. Your workout's not a part of your action hour if you want to grow a business. If you want to just be proof the products work and work this as a hobby, that's cool. But if you're looking to gain some traction, make an impact, grow an income, we really need to make sure that the hour that we're focused on is in the activities that move our business forward, and the work that really makes an impact on others. Okay, so that's what we're going to focus today. So I'm Brittany LeGette Shumard. I've been a coach for a little over 7 years. I am a retired nurse, retired military wife, IVF mom, all via Success with Beachbody, right? And so the community that we have built together. So that's who I am. I've worked my business in all different pockets of time. I started when I was working full-time, so I know what that hustle is like. I then transitioned to being a full-time coach, so I know what that hustle is like as well, with no kids at home. And then I, had a bunch of doctor appointments and that kind of stuff that kind of took over my life. I've worked this business through deployments. I've worked this business through really scary moments in life. I've worked this business while moving cross country, and I work this business as a newborn mom and now as a toddler mom. So I totally get it, and I totally understand the unpredictabilities of life. But the cool thing about this business is, and I'm going to put my flow in the caption above here when we're done, so that you can take these increments of time and you can chop them up whatever works for you, right? You can, because I know in my business, especially when my kid was a lot younger, there wasn't like a predictable hour that I necessarily had. And so I had to chop it up into 4 or 5 parts a day. That's totally fine. There's no one way to do this. This is how I have found to be most productive, is sitting down and focusing for an hour. But there's nowhere that says that you have to do it this way every single day, okay? A quick rule of thumb, and then we're going to dive in. Especially right now, I know times are a little bit crazy. I know times are a little bit just not necessarily your normal. And so I really want to challenge you guys to give yourself grace. But I also want to remind us that the biggest success secret that anyone can give you is just the power of your discipline and consistency. So if you miss a day, it's fine. You miss a day, right? Like, that's fine. Give yourself grace. But have the discipline to tell yourself, okay, I can miss 1 day, but I cannot miss 2, right? You can miss 1 day, but you can't miss 2. So give yourself that mantra, give yourself that threshold, and sort of that accountability to say, I'm going to show up. Even when it's hard, I'm going to show up. Okay, so let's dive in, you guys, because I want to make sure that we get the most out of this, the next 45, 50 minutes together. I wanted to screen share, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. So that's okay. I'll just walk it through on my phone. So you should have your Success Club system tracker, either the printed version or the digital version like Danielle shared, because that's what we're diving into. Now, again, I always suggest having a post up before you're sitting down to a power hour. And that it could be like a fresh post from last night. Ideally, it would be like day of, because that gives you some fresh people to interact with in your power hour. It's not the end of the world, but for me, it sets yourself up for success if you've got a recent post that you can sort of speak to and connect with. And so just like the other girls I've shared this week, if you guys have questions during our work time, I'm going to answer them. I'm just not going to answer them during the work time, because we want to make sure that work time is a time that you guys can focus and not feel like you have to sift my voice out or tune me out. Okay, so the questions that come in, I'm happy to answer them. I'm just going to answer them during talk time and not work time. Okay, so the first 5 minutes we're gonna spend is in just finding new people to follow, right? So this is gonna be just like in finding potential people to build relationships with. Okay, so 5 minutes. So a lot of us are using Instagram as a primary source of invites and connection, which is great. And some of us are using, like I'm using Facebook and Instagram. I'm going to speak primarily to Instagram, but if Facebook is where you spend more of your time, great. I would challenge you to do both though. If Instagram is just really your sweet spot, then great, that's totally fine. But I'm going to focus on Instagram. Okay, so 5 minutes, what we're going to do is we're going to find 20 new people to follow. Now this isn't going to be like influencers that you're following. These are people with a lower amount of following that you feel like you can connect with. Okay, so these are like your people. This is like your niche avatar. This is the kind of person that you want to build a relationship with to eventually invite to something, right? So whether it be your challenge group or to your team. So you guys, how do you start that? How do you, oh, I forgot one thing. Sorry, one thing. Something that is a really helpful tool that I use often is an app called Sloth. There's all kinds of different, like Minutes is one, Seconds is another one. There's all kinds of apps. I don't know for Android people, but for iPhone people, there's a free app called Sloth, and you can put in, let me bring it up to show you. Oh, that's hard to see. You can put in, I already did mine for today, but you can put in all the activities with specific time frames. So you can time yourself. I'm trying to angle it so that, okay, there. So this is especially helpful if you're in a season of your life where you don't necessarily have 1 full hour to sit down every single day, because you can come and go, right? So Sloth is a really cool app that you can use to stay productive and get your business tasks done, especially if you have to break it up. Okay, let's move back to Instagram. So you're going to find 20 new people to follow. And I want to show you, just in case you don't know about this, you can people either through influencer accounts, through hashtags, through local spots. So let's just say I'm going to give you guys like an example of what I might do. So let's just say I'm going to go to an influencer that I enjoy, right? She has millions of followers. I'm not obviously trying to approach her inbox at all, right? But I'm going to go to a picture of hers that I like, and I'm going to see who is liking it and who's commenting, right? So that's a giveaway post, so that might be a different. So let's do a baby one because young moms are in my target audience. So I'm going to go to the likes, and I'm just going to look through the likes. Sorry, things are slow on this end. Everybody's on social media. And I'm going to look through and see who looks like somebody that I might want to follow, okay? So let's just say this is the easy one. This girl's so cute. Okay, so this girl, she's got 1,000 followers. She's a great example, okay? So she doesn't have 50,000 followers. And the only reason why you're not targeting large accounts is because the more accounts the more followers they have, the more activity they're going to have in their account, the more likely your activity on their account is going to go unseen, okay? So this person, her name's Amanda. She's got 1,000 followers. She posts pretty recently, so it tells me that she uses the app, right? So I'm going to start, so this is somebody that I'm going to follow, right? And so not only am I going to follow her, but I'm going to go to a picture that I think represents why I like this person or reminds me that it's somebody that I could sort of get to know. And I'm going to tap this little tag right here, this flag, and I'm going to save to collections. A collection is just a folder on Instagram. So you can do it by month. You could say March, new connections. You could say April or spring, new people to connect with. You could say prospects. You could do whatever you want. You could label the folder whatever you want. But she's going to go in a folder because if I'm doing this every day, I'm not going to remember her. I might remember her name's Amanda, but I'm not going to remember her specific handle, right? And so yes, you can write it down. You can totally write it down. But I like saving to collections because then it's a really easy, fast way to go back and interact with them, like during my power hours. Okay, so I've been pinning a lot of stuff. So I'll save her to prospects, right? And so that's what I'm going to do. So you're going to find 20 people to follow, whether it be through friends of friends, suggested people, hashtags, geotags, people that are liking an influencer that you follow, their stuff. That's who you're going to follow. Okay, so find 20. Yes, I follow her and I add a picture that reminds me of why I like her to a collection. Okay, so 5 minutes on this. And go. Okay, time is up, you guys. So maybe you got to 20, maybe you did not. That's okay. The goal is 20. So if you spent a little bit more time trying to figure out how you're supposed to do this, don't worry, it gets easier once you find your flow, okay? So again, I suggested going to an influencer's account that you really enjoy following, like somebody that has a lot of engaged followers, someone that you're like, oh, I wonder what that person posted today. That's the, the person that you're like, oh, I want to go see what she shared, or does she have any stories? That's the kind of person that you feel really connected with, that you relate to. And so very likely their followers are going to relate to them too, so you guys have something in common. So that's a really easy way, especially for women, I feel, to find new people. You can also use geotag, you can also use hashtags, all that. So you also use suggested friends, all that is fine. So if you spent your time trying to figure out what to do, just take a mental note, like, okay, I need to make this system a little bit more efficient so that I'm not spending all this time trying to figure out where to look for people, okay? So just mental note that and come back to it. And you need to just really aim to be boosting up the amount of people in your community so that you have people to connect with. So a question that was asked was, what about private accounts? Kind of depends. I mean, before I was a coach, probably my account would have most likely been private. So I don't count people out that have private accounts. But I also need to make sure that I'm not just like randomly, getting a bunch of people who have private accounts, because that might not turn into anything. They might truly want to be private. So they may not accept somebody that they don't know, right? But if they're commenting on that post that you really relate to, and you just really think that there's something that you guys have in common, then yeah, sure, try friend request them. You never know what it can turn into, but don't count on it as the only way to. Don't count on it as a sure thing for someone that you're going to connect with. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so let's keep moving. So I want you guys to spend 2 minutes on finding new hashtags to follow. So I don't know if you've done this much, but we're only going to spend 2 minutes doing this because it shouldn't take you that much time. And again, if this is brand new to you, you can just, keep doing it later on in the week. So let me show you what I mean. So hopefully you know by now that you can follow hashtags. Like, let's just use a really easy example, like young moms, right? There's like countless hashtags for young moms or young families, right? So there's more than likely a hashtag that you're following, like maybe motherhood unplugged, or maybe target moms, or maybe mom life, or whatever, right? And so if you're in the search feature of Instagram and you're putting in that hashtag that relates to you, it doesn't have to be mom stuff, it can be whatever relates to you. All right, so go ahead and do that if you're not on your phone already. Go ahead, like for example, it might be, and not all, something that's worth saying. Hold on, let me get my train of thought here. Okay, so when you look up a hashtag, underneath the main bar, there will be some suggested hashtags. I'm trying to give you guys an example. Okay, so hashtag mom goals, right? That might be a hashtag you like. You see this bar right here? All these are suggested hashtags. So mom goals has 670,000 posts in it. That's not too bad, right? So that's fine. So you can go ahead and follow that hashtag. But what I want to encourage you to do is look through these suggested hashtags and see if anything stands out to you. Like life as a mama, right? So that has 77,000. So that's a decent amount of people in that hashtag community that I would have never thought of. So I might follow that one too. So think of hashtags that relate to your season of life. Maybe it's fitness, maybe it's healthy eating, maybe it's family related, maybe it's fashion, maybe it's beauty, whatever, whatever relates to you. Maybe it's home decor. Maybe it's some kind of sport. I'm trying to think of what other interests there are. I don't have a lot of hobbies. Whatever it is, so figure out some hashtags that you really like, but then look for the less popular suggested hashtags and follow those too. So your goal right now is to follow at least 10 new hashtags. We're going to take just 2 minutes to do that. Oh, and what I was going to say, and I promise I'll stop, not every hashtag will have suggested hashtags. So don't worry. If it's not popping up for you, it's probably just not for that hashtag, or maybe that hashtag's not big enough, right? So just find a hashtag that you like, and then see if any of them have some suggested hashtags. So for example, remodel, that's a huge hashtag, 2.5 million, right? So I'm going to look for some smaller suggested hashtags within that remodel hashtag. Okay, 2 minutes. Okay, so that's done. A couple questions about that. Okay, so you've never actually followed it. If you're having, like Alicia's having a glitch, I think what Alicia's experiencing is a glitch. Like when you go to the hashtag and you click follow, it should tell you on the top here, following. And so now this hashtag will start to show up in your feed. If it's not working for you for some reason, we all know that there's tech problems with a bazillion more people on it now, so maybe that's it. Try to reopen it, try it later tonight. No big deal, but just try to keep working at it. Okay, so as of right now, we've worked on finding new people to connect with so that we have some people in our environments, on our social medias, to start building relationships with and connect with and add value to. And then we've found a few new hashtags. Meredith asked like how often you should be doing this. I mean, I don't know, it kind of depends on the hashtags. I would say reevaluate every week, making sure that they're showing up in your feed. If you're choosing less popular tags, they're not going to show up in your feed as much, which means you're not going to be exposed to new people as much. So in that case, you may need to reassess more frequently. But for me, it's like a few times a month I go in and I'm like, okay, is this hashtag like giving me suggestions of people that I want to follow, either as inspiration or people to eventually connect with? Okay, so find your rhythm there. Okay, we're going to start connecting now. So now, like I said in the beginning, like the bulk of your time needs to be spent in inviting and connecting to move your business forward, right? So you're going to be the most confident in your business activities when you're being proof that these products work, and when you're enjoying this healthy solution, whatever's working for you. So if you're feeling awkward and inviting, you're not abnormal. That's pretty normal to have to develop the skill and the confidence in inviting. But I'm telling you, you're going to hit yourself up against a wall if you keep trying to develop the skill of inviting without ever being proof that these products work. So trust me, when you're following a program start to finish, when you're following a meal plan, when you're confidently talking about this, when you're in personal development, you're going to be set up for success for the actual work of inviting and connecting. Okay, so now we're going to spend 5 minutes connecting, right? So this might be with people who commented and liked your post that you just put up, whether it be this morning or last night. Maybe it's people who are just showing up in your stories, you know, people that you're working towards. Maybe you go to the collection, which maybe you don't know how to do that. So let me show you. Remember in the first step, we found 20 new people, we added them to a prospect collection. Well, now you can connect with those prospects. Okay, so you go to your home screen and you go to the 3 lines on the top right. Sorry, this is so awkward to find the not glary from my window. Okay, and then you're going to go to saved down here. See the flag? So go to saved, and now here comes all your collections, okay? So you can go to your prospects folder, and now you can just connect and build relationships with these people, right? So that would be like the first start, as well as the people that reacted to, commented on, engaged with your recent stuff that you put out there, okay? Makes sense, everybody? Any questions about that? Any questions about connecting? I'll answer the other questions in a second. Let's spend 5 minutes connecting, and just do your best. Like, comment, watch their stories, ask questions, thank them for watching your workout this morning, whatever it is. Just connect and engage. This is not inviting. Okay, we got about 1 minute left there, you guys. So connecting is really just about being a real human, finding some kind of way to relate to another person, and just being authentic and connecting. It's just so simple. Don't overthink it. Be yourself. Send voice memos, send videos, just respond to people's stories. I feel like stories is the easiest place to connect, for me at least. So during this time, you're going to want to make sure that you've liked everybody's comment. If they commented on your post, you want to like it and you want to comment back. So you want to create that engagement environment on your page. So that's both Facebook and Instagram. So if people have, you know, taken, sorry, my brain. If people have taken a couple minutes to comment on what you posted, make sure that you're responding back in some way, you know? So the longer the comment, the better if you're talking about like, you know, affinity on social media, but of course it can just be authentic and genuine. So just comment back, create that engagement with them. Okay. Any questions on that before we move on? So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next step. I'm going to look for questions while I'm in talk time. But the next step is really just making sure that you're getting it out there publicly that you're inviting to something, right? So, you know, hopefully you hopped on your stories and said, hey, I'm gonna carve out an hour of work time. I'm going to hop on a power hour. I just did that in my own stories before hopping on with you guys. Hopefully you're showing them what it looks like to set aside a pocket of time to work your business. That is showing people sort of like a behind the scenes sneak peek into what it's like to be a coach, especially in a crazy time, right? How do you prioritize your own goals? By sitting down for an hour and working with my team, you know? So I hope that you've already talked about the power hour that you're on, right? Tagging a friend, tagging your success partner, tagging your sponsor, tagging whoever, right? So that other people can share it and it becomes more social. You're using the platform for what it's created for, right? So in this time, you're going to publicly invite to something. And I think the easiest way to do this these days, especially for a quick invite, is in your stories. So again, don't be too talky because most people will swipe through, right? But go ahead and publicly invite to something, right? Invite to 10 rounds, invite to learn more about coaching, invite to maybe a webinar you're doing with your team, invite to a free group that you might be doing with your team, invite them to join you and to grab their stuff so that they can start on Monday with you. Whatever it is, you want to publicly invite in your stories, and then you do want to make sure that you're publicly inviting on your feed as well in some way, whether it be in a subtle way or in a very direct focus. That's the whole focus of the post. But especially for coaches that are just starting out in the first year or two, I really think public posts are really, really important because it is going to help back up your private invitations that you're sending out. So take 5 minutes and make sure that you have posted publicly inviting people to something. Okay? Questions in the comments, and I'll get to them in 5 minutes. About 2 more minutes, you guys. Okay, guys, I'm going to cut that just a tiny bit short because I want to make sure we get through everything. So that is all about public invites. So that's using your stories, posting to your feed. If you use your stories, you can use the features that Instagram has. All you have to do is swipe up on your story, and then you'll have, most accounts have features like a poll or a question or a quiz, anything like that. Or you can attach, if you have more than 10,000 followers, you can do a swipe up. So really you're just looking to publicly get the word out there that you're inviting people to whatever it is that you've got coming up. Obviously 10 rounds is a perfect thing to be inviting to right now because we're still in the coach access, but we're also gearing up for the customer access, right? So it's perfect timing to invite either way to 10 rounds because it's pertinent to everybody, right? It's like get your coaches in now with 10 rounds so they can start now, or get your people primed to purchase on April 6th for customers. Okay, so we have found some new people to interact with on social media, at least 20. Then we found some new hashtags to follow. The purpose of that is to be exposed to a new community of people, right, that are using the platform and, you know, posting within a hashtag that you relate to, that has something to do with your life, right? Then we connected. We watched people's stories. We reacted. We were just a normal human and talked about their dog and their headband and their kid and what they're doing during quarantine, right? And then after connecting, we made sure that we did some kind of public invite. Usually our stories right now, depending on how many people are viewing your stories are a really easy way to get the word out there. But I definitely would suggest putting a post out there as well so that the people that maybe aren't seeing your stories will see your actual post. You guys, the public invite is really important because it helps to water the seed of the private invites that you're sending. So when you're privately inviting people, you can say like, hey Amber, I don't know if you saw my post from this morning, but I'm finalizing enrollment for this new program that we just started. You know, you can sort of like ping pong off of the public invite that you shared in your private messages. So when you're privately messaging somebody, you refer back to the public post. So that way they go to your public post, they read about it, and they're like, oh, okay, I get it. This is the thing that she's talking about. And then it kind of fosters that seed that you've already planted. Okay, so let's see, a question. When you're inviting and someone's response was, does this cost anything or is it free? Before you go explain anything else, was your go-to response? Yes. So this is going to happen to you. Like, how much is it? That's like their, you know, gut response. Usually that person is not ready yet. I'm not saying they won't warm up, but usually that like knee-jerk response is like a defense mechanism, right? And so I usually say, well, it just kind of depends on how you want to get started. And so then I always kind of get back to figuring out how to learn more about them, right? So it's like, yeah, they can ask that question and I'll respond graciously, but I also want to set the expectation for reality here, that this is not a world where we live and you just get everything for free, right? So it's like, well, it depends. There are some free options, but it kind of depends on your goal, right? And so if you set them up with a free trial, cool, but you won't know that that's right for them until you start to ask questions. So I always pivot to get to know them a little bit more, figure out what they're interested in. And Jenna, I don't know how long you've been a coach, but I will tell you, this happened to me a lot my first like 6 months as a coach. But the longer I became a coach, the more time behind me, where my audience saw me being consistent and showing up with the same products and showing up with physical results, the less and less I got that question, right? And I very rarely get a question like that up front now. When someone's ready to go, it's because they've been watching me for 6 months and they're like, okay, whatever I have to get, I'll get, right? So usually a price objection comes from somebody that doesn't quite understand what it is that you're doing yet. So you either just need to stay consistent, or you need to do your best to keep showing the value, sharing the value, and the personal proof that it's helping you. Okay, so let's move on to follow-ups. Okay, so we went from public invite to now follow-ups. Usually I would suggest spending about 20 minutes on follow-ups. We don't have that time right now, so we're gonna just do 10, right? So I want you to spend 10 minutes, usually I would say 20, but I want you to spend 10 minutes following up with anybody and everybody, right? So again, depending on how long you've been inviting and how often you've been inviting, you may or may not have a lot of people to follow up with. So for me, I could probably follow up for days because I've been doing this for 7 years, right? So if that's not you, then you need to spend more time in connecting and inviting, right? If you don't have the follow-ups, it's because you haven't invited enough people. So if the follow-ups, then fill in the blank with whatever activity you need to be doing to progress your business forward and add to that funnel, okay? So I'm gonna share some messages, some common messages that I might send to people in my follow-ups, but you're gonna follow up with people who are interested in coaching, follow up with people who are interested in joining your challenge groups. Maybe they just haven't pulled the trigger yet, maybe they stopped responding to you. All those people, you're gonna follow up with them, okay? So let's spend 10 minutes doing that, and I'm gonna share some examples in the comments of what I do. minute left so we can get through the rest. Posted a bunch of actual convos that I have with people in the comments. I don't want you to copy and paste those because it will sound like you copied and pasted them. But use them as a reference, use them as a guide for you to develop your own language, your own rhythm. And then I'll answer a couple questions about that in just a second. So wrap up your, wrap all that stuff up. Your follow-up. Okay, so the question that I saw was, how do I keep track of my follow-up? So I personally use sort of like a hybrid of the things that work best for me. So I use Google Streak. I've been using Google Streak since 2015 when I had a crazy Facebook hack situation and I couldn't access any of my conversations or groups or anything. So I learned quickly that I need to not rely solely on social media direct messaging for my business. And so ever since then, I've found it most efficient to use email for conversations primarily. And so I just transfer people over from social media to email. And then I decided to use Streak because it's a simple organizational system. So I learned Streak in a weekend through Brooke Lipoff. So she's got a bunch of, or she did have a bunch of stuff on YouTube back then. I'm sure there's tons available. But I also use Google Documents sometimes when it's, especially like around a launch. And I'll also use Moira's planner, I think is amazing. So I'll use the Rise Up planner in certain seasons. And then like for March, I just use the front part of my actual planner. So like the blank space, I'll use that as kind of like my hot list of contacts of people that are interested, needing more info from me. So again, I use kind of a hybrid. Sorry, I'm trying to type Trick's name for you. So I think you just need to use what works for you, and it doesn't have to be fancy. Also, our Success Club system tracker has blank lines that you can use and just put this on a clipboard or in a notebook or whatever. Okay, so that was follow-up. So follow-up is gold in your business because most people aren't ready right when you invite them. Most people need a little bit of time to warm up or believe in the solution that you're recommending. They need to see that you're proof that this stuff works and it's not just a fad, both your business and the fitness piece and nutrition. I don't ever give up, Kaylee, unless the question was how many times you follow up before you give up. I don't give up. So they stay in my streak. If they tell me I'm not interested in this, then yeah, I'll remove them from my follow-up list. But that's only happened a couple of times, right? So I keep them looped in because just like my life has changed over the course of 7 years, people's lives change. And especially in this situation, like how many people loved what they had going on in a gym or a boot camp or a spin class that they are unable to attend right now for obvious reasons, right? So people's situations change. And when or a new baby comes into the house and or multiple baby, whatever it is, or they're caring for a parent, or they had a change in work, or they traveled now, there's situations that change all the time. And so maybe the answer was no thanks 6 months ago, and maybe it's yes, please now. So I keep them looped in. As far as like how often, so you'll see in my scripts, I get pretty direct. And I give them an out as well. And I was going to try to find the exact wording. I say something like, if you're finding, oh, here it is. If you're finding now is not the right time, I totally understand. Just give me a heads up. So like in your follow-ups, in my messages, I would much rather hear a no thanks, not right now, or I just, I don't have the space in my life right now, or I'm going through a hard time. I'd rather hear that than nothing. So that way I can say I can offer support and encouragement. I can say, totally understand. I'm thinking of you. I'm praying for you. Is it okay with you if I, catch back up with you in a month or so and see how you're doing? I set up the follow-up, even if the answer is no. And so then they know that I care about them, and then I know not to spend all my time on that one person that's not listening, right? It's just not a right fit for them right then. So For me, I keep them in my pipeline. When a new launch comes out, I'm going to talk to them about it. When I'm gearing up for something exciting like a new fit camp or new challenge group, I'm going to tell them about it. It's not my job to decide for them when enough is enough, but if they tell me that they're done, they're not interested, then sure, yeah, I'll remove them. Okay, so now let's invite, okay? So we would usually spend about 15 minutes inviting. So I want you guys to spend a couple minutes inviting. So first you're going to invite people who showed interest in your public invite, right? The one that you just sent. So now you might do a little bit now depending on who's responded to your public invite, and you may also come around to it tomorrow morning. So if you put up a poll or a question feature or a quiz, you need to look at it again tomorrow morning, because obviously some people need some time before they see your actual story, your actual invite. But right now you're going to spend a couple minutes inviting people. I would invite them to 10 round, right? It's here, it's now, it's an awesome stress relief. I gave you guys some examples in the comments already of how to invite, especially when people are sort of responding to your polls or your questions, like your public invites. It's easy because it's like, oh, I'm so glad, yay, I'm so glad that you're excited. Did I put that one in there? I don't know if I did or not. If not, I'll put it in there. But it's like, yay, I'm so excited that you want to learn more about 10 rounds. Like, I'd love to get to know you a little bit better. Like, can you share some of your goals? I usually share my form with them. I use Typeform. I used Wufoo for many years. Google Form is just as good. It's like you just pick your poison, right? So I say, can you take a second to fill out this form so I can learn a little bit more about you, and then I'll get right back to you. And so that helps me stay super organized, and I don't lose people's information. Okay, so spend a couple minutes inviting, and then I'll wrap this up and answer any last minute questions. We'll do like 5 minutes, okay? But you might need to tack on a couple more minutes because we're running out of time. Usually I would spend at least 15 minutes inviting. Okay, guys, so we're going to end that a little early just so that we can respect everybody's time. So the last 5 minutes would be to add value and participate in both your team page and your challenge group communities, and then to update your to-do list. So does anybody have any questions? I am going to update the action flow in the post here so that you guys can do this independently tomorrow and through the weekend or whatever, and you can kind of get a jive for it. I'm also going to post a picture of my sloth sort of tasks in the comments. This is like my usual typical power hour outside of a launch or outside of a weird time. So anybody have questions that I can answer for like 1 or 2 minutes? I'm happy to offer any kind of feedback or advice. Christina, yeah, the BB Links thing is pretty accurate, yeah. But I always use ShareCart, and BB Links is as like a backup, but I always use ShareCart. Anybody have any questions? Do you find that short private invites do better? You know, I do. So I find the shorter messages do better just across the board, because the goal is to get them in conversation and to really personalize the invite to whatever it is that they're looking for or needing help with. So yeah, Megan, I find it's a lot. You know, I do send out like a big email, like, you know, monthly or so, to like everybody as a follow-up saying, I've got this coming up, and I've got this, and I'm super excited about 10 round, and there's a lot of options for you. And so yeah, it might be a little bit of a longer email, but I find most success in short, quick emails or messages, because then it kind of fosters that like back and forth conversation, which is the goal anyway. So then I can tailor the information that I send to what they are actually looking for. Of course. I'm so glad that you guys were here. Okay, so I'll edit the top of the flow here, but I'll also put it in the comments just in case, so you guys don't have to get out. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for spending an hour with me. Super proud of you. I think it's a really awesome thing that you're investing in your business. New people, I add them to collection in my Instagram. So I showed you guys how to do that in the beginning, so just rewatch that recording if you hopped on late. But I use the collections to keep track of people, and my hot list people go either on in my planner or on a Google Doc. That is often what I'll use, just to make sure I'm keeping track of people, especially in a launch environment. All right, you guys, thank you guys again so much. No, Tony Ann, I use Constant Contact sometimes, but the open rate is always a little bit meh. So I've heard great things about Flowdesk. I use Streak primarily for week to week though. Definitely check out Flowdesk. I've heard really, really great things. Joanna, that would be your question too. So look at Flowdesk. I don't know cost or any of that, because I just have recently looked at it, but it looks really great and very user-friendly. Okay, guys, have a good day. Stay safe, wash your hands, love on people, and just, you know, be proud of what we get to offer others. It's just a really important time for us to shine bright with what it is that you have to offer. So confidently do that. I can't wait to see how many people we help in April. Okay, bye, guys.